The Honest Look series continues taking a look at the Oklahoma Sooners. I put a call to action out on my Twitter page, @JDPikel. Said, listen, here's who we've done in the Honest Look series. Who do y'all want to see? Tell us what program you want covered. And there was a ton of you in Sooner faithful fashion just stormed the castle and said, we want OU. You better give it to us. And I said, okay, absolutely. Hey, 1,000%. We're going to do that. So looking at 2022 for Oklahoma, there was a lot of optimism going into the year, and for good reason. And there was a level of, I say, underachievement in air quotes, because it was the first year for Brent Venables. And there were some things that didn't go your way. There were some breaks that didn't go your way that were out of your control. Some things you did in your control that didn't necessarily equate to the success that you expected. But you finished the year 6-7. There's a lot to pull from this. Before we get into all that, though, you got to have the conversation around who is your leader? Who is the point man for everything going on with OU football? That's right, your head coach is Brent Venables. And there is a portion of the college football public, maybe even a small fraction of the Sooner fan base, I don't pretend to say it's a majority, I think a small fraction, that are questioning openly if Brent Venables is the right guy for the job in Norman. Hey, look what we had in-house, and we didn't accomplish a New Year's Six Bowl victory. We didn't win the Big 12. Never been a head coach before. It's his first year ever being a head coach. Is this too much for him? Is he able to be the right guy in Norman? Here's what I would say to that. Everything that you hired Brent Venables for to be the head coach at Oklahoma is still very much in play. Allow me to elaborate. You hired Brent Venables because you trust him to install an elite culture. Y'all, they finished 6-7. There was many opportunities, multiple opportunities for Oklahoma to throw in the towel. They went through that tough stretch of 3 losses in a row. That included tough losses on the scoreboard to TCU, who ended up playing for a national title, to your rival in Texas. That would have been the time where you just say, you know what, forget it, I'm out. I didn't see that from Oklahoma. I don't pretend that was roster-wide. Obviously, with how many players are on your roster, there's going to be some level of on the fence with different individuals. But from a team standpoint, Oklahoma was bought in. They fought back, made a bowl game, and played pretty well in that bowl game, too. We'll talk about that here in a second. Other thing you brought Brent Venables to Oklahoma for, recruiting, bringing top talent to Norman, to go and play for those Big 12 conference titles, eventually SEC titles, to go and play for national titles, New Year's Six bowl games, all that. He's doing it right now. 13 transfers, deciding they want to take their talents. Norman, Oklahoma, a top 10 class. Y'all, a top 10 class after a 6-win season for the Sooners. I'm just saying, if it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, if college football is an acquisition game like everyone's saying it is, Oklahoma's on the right track. The third thing you brought him to Oklahoma for was the defensive side of things. Now, I believe that is still very much processing. I'm going to talk about that more in just a second here. But when you look at the total body of work, you look at the entire operation that is Oklahoma Sooner football, you put together a great staff and you're bringing top talent in. People are going to say, well, we don't know about Jeff Lebby. Y'all, Jeff Lebby and that offense put up over 30 points a game. Top 25 in the country in their first season on campus. Let's withhold some negative input so far. You can have objections, but to have honest complaints, I would say that's not super reasonable at this point in time. Now, there's more to talk about here. But if you have not yet subscribed, would love to have you a part of this program. This is the People's Show. You drive it. Nick Bragg heavy lifts it. We hold it down behind the mic. This is a college football community that y'all have allowed us to cultivate. So thank you to all y'all that have subscribed. We have a phenomenal Sooner fan base, like I already mentioned. For those of you that have not yet joined the party, we'd love to have you. Also, follow me on the social channels @JDPikel on Instagram, as well as on Twitter, where we can have this interaction. One of the reasons we're doing this video, because y'all got at me on Twitter and said we want an honest look at the Oklahoma Sooners. So we appreciate you in advance for both of those things. Now, you look at 2022, you went 6-7, you say, how far off are we? Right? Like, how far off are we? how much of a rebuild or how much of an overhaul has to happen for us to be successful in 2023. I'll tell you this, not really much. Not really much of an overhaul has to be done for 2023. You look on the offensive side of things, like I had already mentioned, 33 points a game, top 25 in the country. You bring back your quarterback in Dillon Gabriel, who spearheaded that whole operation, who played dinged up at times, who was hurt at times. He comes back. He's the leader of your football team. Javonte Barnes, I was really impressed with him last year, toting the rock for the Sooners. The defense is where you want to hone in. Defense is where you probably look a little bit more closely and say, yeah, offense was solid throughout the year, but the defense, tell me more about that. Well, it was lackluster. It was the reason why Oklahoma finished the way they did, to be honest with you. It's the reason why they finished with the record they did, to be honest with you. But here's the deal. You either believe that Brent Venables just can't coach defensive football, say, yeah, he did all those great things at Clemson, but Brent Venables can't really coach defensive football. Look at 2022. Okay, I would probably push back on you there, but you either believe that or you believe that the product defensively is still meshing / you're still adding correct ingredients. Because listen, men lie, women lie, transfer portal don't lie, and who coaches go and get from the portal don't lie. And Brent Venables is telling you, by nature of what they have gotten in the portal, the defensive line is not good enough. It wasn't good enough last year. It needs to be better in 2023. They've gotten 13 transfers in. 5 of those transfers are on the defensive line. So they are totally revamping and retooling that position group. Think back to the Clemson days for Brent Venables. That was always the calling card. That was the heartbeat of those defenses. A lot of guys that went and played on Sundays. A lot of guys that were high draft picks from those defenses at Clemson. I think Brent Venables is working to retool that, obviously via the portal. Deshaun McCullough going to be a guy. PJ Adebaware from the high school level. In your 2023 class, he's going to be a dude. There's a lot of attention right now on the trenches, and that's a good sign. So I think there's not bad players on the defense, but it wasn't up to what is needed to be successful for your standard and Brent Venables' standard. So we're aligned there. The defense, I think, is still processing. Another thing that you brought Brent Venables for to Oklahoma, we said culture, recruiting, defense. The defense, I think, is still a work in progress. So give him time to get his personnel. That's very much so taking place right now. When you look at 2023, here's the good news for Oklahoma Sooner fans. In 2023, you don't have to wait. Quarterback comes back. An offense scored 33 points last year. If the defense, especially that defensive line, if you have the personnel to execute, you have a proven scheme from what Brent Venables has done throughout his career. You have the right guy running the show defensively. Okay? Who's favored in the Big 12? I mean, I know Vegas probably has some lines out there for who the early favorite is, the way too early favorite to win the Big 12 conference. That's cool, but really, who is the runaway favorite to win the conference? Texas has its question marks. TCU lost their quarterback. Don't know what Baylor's going to be. Oklahoma, you don't have to wait. 2023 can be your year. 2023 can be your year. You lost by 3 to a top 10 caliber team in Florida State at the end of last season. So all the talk about fighting and scratching and clawing to win 6 games and barely making a bowl game, and what happened against Texas, what happened against TCU, and all that talk, you played Florida State to a 3-point game. And Florida State's going to make some noise next year. Florida State made some noise last year. That should tell you how close you are. 2023 does not need to be an overhaul or revamp anything. 2023 can be your year. A lot of it hinges on the defense. A lot of it hinges on the personnel on the defense. You don't need to wait. And I, for one, can't wait to watch it. So the Sooners got a lot in house. Brent Venables, I still believe, is the right leader for your football program. The beautiful thing about it, we get to watch it play out on Saturday afternoons in the fall. Looking very, very much forward to it. This has been the Hard Count. If you haven't yet subscribed, again, we would love to have you all part of this whole operation. Nick Break Lifting Heavy. This is your show. It's a Hard Count family, and we appreciate you for it. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.